and welcome to our new YouTube channel, Kart Globe, your Karting Global News Network. My name is Jenny and we're here in our studio located in Austria, Central Europe. We'll be bringing you lots of interesting info, news and insights, background stories and more from karting. So now, fasten your seatbelts, buckle up and be ready to travel the world with us. Today we'll be speaking with some of my media friends, reporters and industry experts to find out about the current situation for karting. As I travel around the globe, my first stop is Canada, where I met up with Rob Howden from ekartingnews.com, just outside Toronto. Hello Canada, nice to have you here and tell me, how are you going?
Well, it's interesting. I think for everybody, we're locked here at home. I normally work at the home office anyway, so really it's kind of business as usual for me. Things haven't really changed.
Yeah.
We've been knocking out a lot of content. We've been doing Instagram live videos, talking to people throughout the industry. We've started a Facebook Live face-to-face program. I actually talked to Will Power and Billy Vincent yesterday about their new Will Power carts. So
yeah,
we're just kind of hammering on like we normally do, just putting out a lot of content. I started commentating some races on iRacing as well, which are very, very interesting. And I think we're all just waiting to get back to racing, and whether it's karting or whether it's part of the Road to Indy or the IndyCar Radio Network.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, I've been tuning in a few of those shows, and that's why, I've sort of kept a bit of a handle on it since we started watching iRacing and esports and everything. I guess it's keeping the community together, which is really, really good. But I know, although you're Canadian, this esports thing, I suppose in America is huge, but you're also covering this and you're one of the commentators. And I mean, it's really a lot more work, I guess, than what you're normally doing, which is traveling to events.
That's very true, because normally I would be leaving for an event on a Thursday, doing the race, then coming back on Monday. But yeah, I'm flat out here. I've been announcing 2, 3, sometimes 4 iRacing events a week. So that's, an hour of prep and then an hour, 2 hours, whatever on the event. So
My goodness.
I'm a lot busier than I normally am. Let's put it that way. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I thought it would be really interesting to find out. And I know that Canada, of course, is a different kettle of fish. When we talk about the US, once again, different governing bodies and so on, and in some cases they're doing whatever they want based on local government. So a little bit of insight would be great. Tell us about what's happening in karting.
Well, that's really interesting. Here in North America, it's obviously very different. Canada has its own group, its own governing body, and in fact, that changed a little bit. If we talk just about Canada first, we used to had ASN Canada, that kind of shut down. So we've been kind of in limbo in terms of who runs karting, who manages karting in Canada. There's a new program that's come, a new group that's come together, which is great. It's very new, so I don't think really they are in a position yet to say what's going to happen racing-wise. We're on a kind of nationwide stay-at-home order. I think a majority of the racetracks in Canada are completely shut down. You can't even practice on them. Out in BC, members only allowed at one of the tracks at Greg Moore Raceway out in British Columbia, which is the west coast of Canada. In Ontario, the primary part of karting here in Quebec, everything's shut down. You can't even get to the racetrack. So tough for Canada for sure. A little different for the United States, because as people know, it's so huge, 50 different states. Well, yes, there's the overall government, the national government, but every state has its own governor, and they have their own laws right now, their own stay-at-home orders. There are some states that are opening up a little bit, like Florida, Texas, Georgia, Indiana, that kind of thing. Some states are on complete lockdown. West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, more on almost a complete lockdown. So it's different. And then, of course, within every state, each county's a bit different. They are racing. They raced at Newcastle Motorsports Park the last couple of weekends, which is just about 30 minutes east of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That track was allowed to be open because in their county, they were able to race. Just about 45 minutes away in Whiteland, they weren't able to race at that track because of the county orders. So really, it's just so different in every different area of the U.S.
What about the travel then between the states and the regions? Is this going to create, do you think, another problem, or is it not so much? I really don't know how that works there.
Well, it's the one thing is that, all the state governments, you can't, there's obviously laws, you can't stop someone from traveling from state to state. That's part of the Constitution and part of overall law in the U.S. But when you talk about Superkarts USA or Rock Cup USA or some of the bigger programs, the United States Pro Kart Series, which goes across different states, that they're of course concerned about that because Superkarts USA was supposed to have their first Pro Tour race in New Orleans in March, right when everything kind of happened here, that March 13th to 15th weekend. They were able to get a couple sessions on track on the Friday and had to shut things down, just like IndyCar did at St. Petersburg. Tom Kutcher from Superkarts USA, of course, hey, what are we going to do? Our next race was supposed to be this weekend. I think, this weekend actually was supposed to be the next race. It's so weird that I kind of blanked on that because it's all these days kind of blend together, right? Indeed, we should have been racing in Utah this weekend. They were thinking about trying to move it to the first week of June. And you have to, like you said, are people going to want to travel all the way from Florida? They can't fly anywhere, or they don't want to fly anywhere right now. So everything's been kind of on hold, not only just because of what's happening in each state or every county, but also the overall perception of what people want to do in terms of travel. As you said.
That's the next thing, isn't it? Because, of course, being in the media, we know how much impact that can have on people's perception of, is it safe to go, or what's going to happen, or are we going to get stuck there, or if we come back, like in some parts of the world, you're inside for 2 weeks because you're not allowed to go outside. So all these things, all these challenges, obviously, and as you say, there's been this whole new dimension of esports happening where it's unbelievable. It's crazy how real this is. But what is the next step? I mean, what do you see? What do you think? Like you say, there are races scheduled. Will they have to change the calendars? Will the weather affect this? We know already about the travel. So what's your opinion on this?
I think what I see that is you get a couple of the tracks. I have some notes here. Newcastle Motorsports Park in Indiana has had a race already. Rimrock Raceway in Odessa, Texas. Texas is obviously a huge state. They're kind of over on the west side with hardly any coronavirus effect at all. So they've had a race already. They're still open, I think, for the rentals as well. Michiana Raceway Park in Indiana had an event as well. And I think they're kind of the models right now of what they're doing because they've changed a lot of things. USAC Karting, that does the battle at the Brickyard at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, came out with a program as well. No touch registration. They're doing a deal. USAC will be registering completely online. There won't be any walk-up trackside registration. That's one of the big things. The tracks, of course, now that are running are having, of course, social distancing. They're spacing the trailers out a lot more to try to make sure people don't have that interaction. You can't go into the buildings at all. They're doing full registration outside. They're swapping in pens. They're, when you're signing in on your registration, they're actually disinfecting pens and swapping in and out. I guess everything they possibly can do. A lot of the bigger organizations, whether it's IndyCar, NASCAR, NHRA, the drag racing series, they're all trying to come online as well. And I think that while karting is obviously number one, what we do is going to open the doors for other kart clubs and tracks to be able to open up based on what we can do. That's kind of the model. I think once the bigger series like IndyCar and NASCAR, that kind of thing goes back to racing as well, as NASCAR will do, they'll kind of set a precedent that'll filter down to karting as well.
What about the fans? Because this is the big thing, isn't it? The fans also like to go. So, how long before we get to see the fans there, I wonder?
I don't know, to be honest. One of the things I posted up on my social media is the first race for the Road to Indy is actually late June at Road America, the big track in Wisconsin. They've actually opened their track. It's a 4-mile racetrack, so it's really this huge, like almost like a national park. It's so massive. They're actually opening up this weekend for camping. There's no racing going on, but they're actually having camping there. They have sites for camping, cabins, that kind of thing. So they're opening up, which that bodes well for 6 weeks down the line where we could have some fans there. But they normally get 40,000 fans camping that weekend. They've talked about the fact that there'll be social distancing and they'll be making sure there's areas between all the campgrounds. That's going to be the biggest thing for road racing, outdoor road racing. When it comes to NASCAR or some of these tracks where you're sitting side by side with someone, I don't know. It'll be no fans for a while, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's it. But thanks to guys like you at ekartingnews.com, we can keep watching, and I'm sure all the fans will still be tuning in like they are with the esport and so on. We will come back to you if you've got time. I know I've probably got to fit into your schedule there, but one morning we'll come back to you in a couple of weeks and see what's happening, what's developed there, and also in Canada, of course. It's really been great to have you here. Rob, say hi to the team anyway at ekartingnews.com, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. I look forward to talking to you again. We do have a page on our website for anybody in the U.S. or you want to see what's doing. We have one page that has all the tracks. We're trying to update it on a regular basis. So
Yeah.
If people do see what's happening over here, we'll have that on the website. But otherwise, yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you anytime.
Thank you. And we'll be watching all the live stuff. It's really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And as I travel back to Europe, my next stop is the United Kingdom. And I call on my good friend, Henry Beaudette. And he is down south at Barry in Wales. Hello, UK. Henry, how are you? Actually, it looks like you've been locked inside for a short while.
Yeah, I look like a caveman. How are you, Jenny? It's really good to see you. Can I say that you're looking a lot better for lockdown than I am. Lockdown's treating you well, but yeah, no, it's no barbers are open, and I'm not.
No.
I haven't gone for the Corona cuts. I'm not sure if a lot of people have just been having their head shaved, but I've got my hairline's going back enough as it is. So I'm hanging on to it for as long as possible.
I almost didn't recognise you when you called me, so now I know it's you.
Yeah, I've noticed the extra grey hairs as well. If I keep this up till Christmas, I've got a sideline of being the first commentating Father Christmas.
No, not at all. That's not possible. But you could wear the red suit. We'll see how it goes. Tell me, Henry, what's happening there? Are you doing a bit of homeschooling? I sort of had to fit in with lessons there today.
Yes. My 10-year-old, who's going to be 11 on Monday, little Henry. This is his. The living room of my apartment is now not only the interview room but also classroom as well. He's not a fan of his new teacher, I've got to say. I think he thinks that maybe the new teacher's a little bit strict. But however, lunch breaks such as this, in school you don't get to play on your PlayStation during lunch break, so you can hear.
Okay, so it has got its advantages and benefits to be locked down at home with Dad. Yeah.
As if you're in.
Yeah, and
not
so. No, I was going to say, so how's that going for you?
Yeah.
But if you look a little bit, a little bit crazy, if your eyes start going like that, and then I see, okay, he's got a beer in his hand, I know how that's going. Tell me, Henry, I wanted to catch up with you. Like everybody, we want to know what's happening, and of course, chatting with some of our media friends today around the world. What's happening in this region in the UK when it comes to karting and of course, where we go from here?
Well, first of all, just want to say that I hope everyone is staying safe and well. Like you, Jen, we're very lucky to know people from all over the world in karting, and every country has got their own challenges. So we just hope that everyone in the wider karting family is staying safe and well. In the UK, Motorsport UK have said they're not going to issue any permits for any form of racing until July the 1st at the earliest. Now, in the country, and of course, we've got, unfortunately, I think we're up to nearly 29,000 deaths from COVID-19. We're still under a sort of a partial lockdown. It hasn't been as strictly imposed as other countries around Europe, but we have been very restricted into what is open. So all kart circuits and who are classed as a leisure activity in the UK, they've been closed since the middle of March. And there's the government, again, this information is so it's you can't predict it. You can't predict anything with any accuracy. There is a plan for a phased reopening of certain parts of the country. Leisure activities are classed as one of the last sets. So we've got a 5-phase reopening. So some schools might be reopening in June, but leisure activities are classed along with like pubs and restaurants, the last phase. So when kart circuits will be allowed to reopen is not something that an individual kart club or venue can take themselves. We have to wait for the government to guidelines. But assuming, and again, assumption in this day and age is very dangerous, but if permits are issued on the 1st of July, then that will allow kart circuits to reopen, and in effect they could carry on with their season. However, the reality of that could be quite different. Now, I know the Trent Valley Kart Club, home of PF International, for example, they've got a club meeting set their club meeting is the first weekend of the month. So in theory, their first club meeting could be the first weekend of July if Motorsport UK is allowed to issue permits. And I know that they, along with lots of other clubs, they've been looking at how to run test days, track days with limited numbers while maintaining social distancing. And also, I know that the clubs have been working on how to maybe sort of get more staff in to enforce social distancing measures. There are certain hot areas, they're called. So like the dummy grid, for example.
Right.
You've got 30 karts, drivers, mechanics, officials down the dummy grid, an enclosed area. How do you work around that? I know that some clubs are how to remotely sign on and even go some aspects of scrutineering remotely, whilst obviously making sure that everything is legal and complies with the various insurances. So that is going to be one of the main challenges that circuits face in terms of the physical running of the event. Now, obviously, a lot of kart circuits in the country, they are the business is 6 days a week. It's a corporate rental kart circuit, and on the seventh day they have a club meeting for owner drivers and what have you. They've got two challenges because obviously they've got full-time staff. Their business model, they're not allowed to run any business, and there are various government initiatives to help pay workers and what have you. There are other circuits such as Rowra in the north of England and Kimbolton in the centre of England, where there's no corporate business attached to it. It's the circuit is used once a month. It's run by volunteers. Now, they have obviously got their own set of problems in terms of having the manpower to run events, but they could, in theory, do an event without sort of having the parent company, the actual corporate business, alongside it. So that
lots of challenges. And as you say, volunteers having to have more staff, how you manage the people in a small space.
Exactly.
All these things you don't really think about.
How would you do it? I mean, you could do a remote driver's briefing through Zoom.
Yes.
That would say that, but the thing about a driver's briefing is that you're all together, and if there's a question, you can put your hand and say, I don't understand this. So it's a driver's briefing is one way of eliminating, because if you have 100 drivers, that's 300-400 people.
Yes.
So you have a race meeting with 100 drivers, but then the amount of people at the circuit, 500-600 people, getting all those people that need to know the format, the regulations, things that are going on during the day, connecting them successfully and remotely and effectively provides its own challenge. But the kart clubs are doing all they can to look at solutions, things like that. Now, of course, that's the individual clubs. The Motorsport or MSUK, Motorsport UK, the governing body, they've actually issued a £1 million, and I'm going to get this correct. It's called the Club Continuity Fund. It's £1 million for not just kart clubs, but for motorsport clubs in the UK to help them to sort of bolster their funds so that they don't go under, because that's the real risk, that we're going to lose clubs and organisations and venues, so that when the world does get back to normal, we've still got places to go and race. Now, I don't know what the percentage is that karting is going to get out of that £1 million club continuity fund, but Motorsport UK CEO Hugh Chambers has been very, very vocal in his support for karting and grassroots motorsport in general. So you would have to say that there's going to be, some of that money will find its way to kart clubs. And I know that Dan Parker from Motorsport UK has been spearheading some webinars to various clubs. They sent out surveys and questionnaires so that clubs can raise their fears and their concerns and sort of say, well, this is what we're going to need health-wise. And there's a lot of online training for officials as well, to, just during this, so that when racing does resume, each member club, licensed club, and I suppose this goes for IKR and non-licensed racing as well, the officials have had the best information from the governing body as to how to safely run a racing. Safety in two respects: safety keeping the public safe, but also safety in terms of making sure that the rules, regulations, and insurances are adhered to.
Yeah, all those important aspects, all the challenges, but it sounds like they've got a real handle on it there anyway. And yeah, it's really, it's a tough time, but I'm sure with all this in place, once we hit the beginning of July, I'm hoping that everything being well, we can roll it out and get back there on track and see you guys, doing what you do best. And everyone's going to be so excited, I'm sure, to be able to say, yeah, we can get back on track. There's so many people, the home of motorsport there in the UK, and so this is important. But, we will have to wait and see now.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And of course, what the British Kart Championship have done, the British Kart Championship, they've obviously cancelled and postponed all the races to the end of June. The calendar from July onwards remains as it was published at the start of the year. So they haven't cancelled those events or postponed them. Those dates, the venue are still in place to sort of minimise disruption. Now, not saying that they're all going to go ahead, and what motorsport and what the British Kart Championship are potentially doing to make sure that every class, because the British Championship is split into 3 divisions. You've got one championship for Rotax, one championship for IARMY, and one championship for TKM and Honda. They're thinking of potentially to making, and each of those sort of championships have 6 race weekends each. Nobody knows if it's going to be possible to run all 6 weekends. They're looking at maybe extending the season. They're looking at how to maybe you want to try and get as many races together as possible to give as many people as much racing as they can when things allow, without restricting track time. So they're looking at potentially combining classes, combining events, just to make sure that each event is as good as it can be, but without disrupting the spectators' times. And there have been some great stories. There's lots of charity kart raffles have been going on with people selling karts and giving money to the NHS, with local NHS funds. I think the LeCompte, the tyre makers, they've been making PPE and face masks instead of kart tyres. There's been a lot of good things going on. Of course, we did have the British Kart Championship did run their sort of an now I'm a technical dinosaur, I have to say.
The esports.
Yes, they did at Buckmore Park.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you who won because I said, I get enough computer games with having my son full time.
I actually I did watch a little bit of that. I didn't know any of the drivers personally, but
yes, it's incredible what they can do, and it's just people have been trying to keep in touch to make sure that everyone is out there. And disappointed drivers. But
that's what karting's all about, isn't it? Though it's this big community, and that's why we're talking today. And that's also why I'm going to see you again in 2 weeks, Henry, and see how long that beard is.
I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm going to do the complete head shave but keep the beard growing long.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see. Everyone has to tune in again and see in 2 weeks how Henry's looking. And I've got to let you get back to the homeschool because your son's on the PlayStation. I know that in his lunch break.
I know.
Thank you for helping us also, but also it's nice to see you and know that you guys are safe. Then I'm going a little further south, direction Italy. But before that, we'll stop off in Germany, quite close to the Dutch border, and visit Björn Niemann at kartmagazine.de. Servus, Björn. Servus, Germany.
Servus. Hallo.
And how are you? How are you? I know there in Germany, nice sunny day I can see. I forgot to introduce you, from kartmagazine.de, and also the official press officer from the DKM in Germany. How's it going?
Hello, Jenny. Hello together. Yeah, in principle, everything is fine. Since we had the Corona shutdown, we have sunny weather here in Germany, so it's perfect weather to go outside. We are allowed to go outside and to have a walk or to do sport and go into a supermarket to buy something. So I think we have a better situation than in other countries, and also in Germany we had so much problems with this virus. So I think we managed it quite good. But at the moment, the government decided to give us a bit more our normal life back. So today we got some new regulations out and now it's also allowed to do karting in Germany from until tomorrow. It's separated in different areas in Germany, so it's not there's not rule for all for whole Germany. So we have 18 different parts in Germany, and every part have to do its own decision, but they are in principle all similar.
Okay, so this is great news then, coming out of Germany today for karting.
Yes, so on Monday we got the first information that they can start the tracks in Eastern Germany. So the new track in Mülsen will start tomorrow, and also some other smaller tracks. And now in Bavaria, it's allowed to start it from Monday. So in Wackersdorf and Ampfing, they can open the track on Monday. And today we got some new information that in Western Germany, so Northern Westphalia, it's also allowed to do sport outside. So no contact sports are allowed. And for me, karting is a no contact sport because there are not a contact between two persons. And I think also Kerpen now has a chance to open the track again. And then I heard in the radio just a few minutes ago that from end of May, sport competitions will be allowed in Germany. But I do not know how that affects some races, because at the races there are a lot of people, and I don't know how they will manage it with the amount of people at the tracks.
That's right. This is an ongoing question, I guess, when we start talking about sport and leisure activities, that mostly they are with spectators or with supporters at least. So this is something also in karting.
Yeah, you're right. For the football championship, for the Bundesliga here in Germany, now they will do some ghost games, so games without spectators, and they want to start at the 15th of May with the first games. But there's a lot of money and a lot of people. They're working in these areas, so there's a big interest also from the government to bring it back on track. I don't know how it will work with the kart races, because when you have 150 or 200 competitors, you have more than 500 or 600 people on track only for the race without any spectators. And here's the rule that big events are not allowed until end of August. But there is not the really right description. What is a big event? Is it with 100 people, 500 people, 5,000 people? So that is a bit in the shadow. And yeah, that is something we have to investigate and to see how it will be continue in the future. And also when we have some areas where the COVID figures are increasing and we have a lot more impact than now, then also they can go back with the rules, and that can be more negative for this area, only for this area. This can also impact some sport or karting or whatever.
And of course, when we think about the DKM, for example, the German Kart Championship, it is a German national championship, but it's also more international. You have many countries surrounding Germany alone, not to mention all the drivers, teams, competitors that come from outside of Germany and Europe as well.
Yes, so that's true. At the moment, we have a travel ban until the 14th of June in whole Europe, and it's allowed to travel between countries for business reasons. But I don't know if when you have a competition in Germany, is it a business reason or is it something you do in your personal time? So I don't know how it will work also for the DKM, and it's really hard because we get the tires from Italy, we get the fuel from Italy, a lot of material will come from Italy, some motor tuners will come from Czech Republic, from UK, from Denmark, from Italy. And also Italy, I think Italy is at the moment on a position where we were 4 weeks ago. So that will be very interesting to see how that will work, and if it works. I think it will be not possible for all people to come to Germany to the races.
So where does this leave not only karting and the people like us involved, but also business people locally, all the places that karting goes? It's really a tough one this year, for the season of 2020. Where does it leave these people?
it will be a season we have in the books the next 20 years. So everybody will talk about 2020 the whole year. And a lot of people are infected from the situation at the moment. So it's a big crisis, and not only in Germany, in the whole world. There are some different countries that they have different ways. For example, Sweden, they're doing a complete different way than the other countries. And today I read in news that there will be a race in Kristianstad in May. And
will this be the first one, do you think, in Europe? Is it international, or is this national race?
What I read is it's a special race, so it's not from any championship. It's a single race, but they had a really strict security plan with races only on Saturday one classes, the other classes only on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a separate paddock for each class, only one mechanic and one driver. So it was quite interesting to see, and only 25 drivers each race. So then it's quite small, but it's a start, and we will see how it works for the other countries. What I now heard is when you will do some training in Germany, you have to register online for each track, and only when you are registered, you get the allowance to come on track, and only a restricted amount of people are allowed to go on track. So they have to count the people, and they want not to have the hundreds of people at the track. Also, spectators are not allowed, so only a driver with one person is allowed to go on the track.
This is very similar what I also read in Australia. When they start with just 5 people on the track, you must register, fill out the form, send it in, and also, you have to have somebody with you, obviously, to say, right, I'm controlling this situation, because they don't want other people coming over and helping, which is what happens in karting, isn't it? People come over, they talk, they help what's happening, and this is, this community. So even though we're non-contact sport.
That is really, really interesting. And also what I speak a lot of with the track owner from Amfing, and also I talk with him about how will it work in the paddock. For example, for the Sweden race, there will be juniors and minis on Saturday, what I read, and Shifter and OK on Sunday. But then you have a separate paddock for the Shifter, and you have a separate paddock for the OK classes. But most of the drivers have not their own equipment. They are part of a team, and the team have this big truck with a big tent, and they have the mechanics, the material, the tools. And for me, it's really hard to understand how they want to, how they can separate the paddock in different classes, because then you have a driver from OK Junior, but he has nothing. Because they have not a bus, they have not a tent. The mechanic is part of the team. And also in the tent, you do not have the 2 meters distance between the people. So that is really, that will be interesting how the federation, and also we have to think about in the German kart championship, how we will manage it.
Yes, we do. And as you said, all this will be determined by what happens. If something happens, if there are new regulations, then they will revisit this, I guess, at that event. But others maybe use that event as an example, as you say, to say, okay, well, we can do this. They came up with a solution. So I think that's what, our discussions are about today also, is what are the plans, what is the next step, different phases, but also what's going to happen, how should we manage this for the best of karting and get people back on track. So it's going to be an interesting time, and I'm sure in the next 2 weeks, when I hope to speak with you again, if you have time, then we will know a little bit more, because it's unfolding all the time, isn't it? Every day there's something new, and we're at that point now.
The government will meet every week or every 2 weeks, and will monitor the situation, and then they make new decisions. And today they did a lot of positive decisions, so they open a lot, more than I expected, because they're also allowed to open hotels, restaurants, all shops will be open from Monday. Only bars and clubs will be closed for longer, and big events are not allowed, but all the other stuff will be open. But everything with restrictions. So at the moment, I do not know how it will work in the restaurant. But that is something allowed now, and now the people have to be creative, how they can bring the people again and how they can serve them.
Yeah, so a little bit of different thinking, but the thing is at kartmagazine.de, you guys are always online. I know you've been racing esports and all different things, keeping everyone there. So any information that comes out, of course, you'll be publishing that anyway, that everyone can see what's happening.
Yes, at the beginning we started to make a post for each new calendar and each news we had, but after I posted a calendar 3 times because the race were cancelled, and then we had some new dates, and then the race was cancelled again, and you know how it worked. I decided to make a new sticker, a Corona ticker, I named it, and there we post every moment when there are some news, we post them there, only some small sentence that the people knows how it works. And also we do a lot of stuff over social media, so Instagram and Facebook. There also we try to inform the people, and we try to keep the network together. And that was also an idea with our esports, to give the drivers a chance to compete to each other and to have a battle, and to keep the focus on racing and not to get lost in the situation. But as I said at the beginning, in Germany, we had a quite good, it was not perfect, but we had a better situation than in other countries. Today I read a post from Tom Joyner, and he wrote, since I think 6 weeks, it was the first time that he went out with his bike, and that was still allowed in Germany. So it could be worse.
It could be a lot worse. And I think you've got the perfect weather. So I'm going to let you go, because I know you've just arrived home. And we're going to talk again in a very short time, in the next couple of weeks anyway, but we'll stay in touch. We'll be watching what's happening. We'll be watching the ticker. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we've got some good news when we meet back here again.
Thank you very much. Keep your distance and stay safe.
Well, I'm here on my own in the studio, so
yes.
But I'm connecting with everyone, and that's what we're doing today in the program here at Kart Globe. So thank you very much, Björn, and we'll see you soon. The heartbeat of karting is Italy. Next stop is the famous capital city of Vroom, where I meet Andrea Giustini at Vroom Karting Magazine. Ciao, Andrea. Hello, Italy.
First of all, hi there. We're all okay here in Italy, and we're close to a start. We had difficult days, but the good side is we're happy. We're ready to start, and we can wait to be back on track and to be back to our normal life. That is the most important thing.
How long have you been at home? How long have you been locked in your
55
apartment?
days.
Oh my
55
goodness.
days without the only chance to go out is to go to supermarket. So it was very tough, especially for us, because we spend our life on traveling in Europe and all the world. So it was very tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. And of course, you told me just yesterday in a message, hey, Jen, we can go back to the office now. So that must have been a nice feeling.
Well, luckily, I'm now at the office, and it was a very good feeling. Probably for the first time, I was completely happy to get up very early and to go back to office for the first time in my entire career. So we're happy.
Yeah. Now, of course, you are part of this karting magazine. I know you work with many drivers. You talk to people all over the world about karting every week. So maybe you can tell us how it's really going to unfold now in Italy. What is going to be the situation?
Well, the situation for karting world, and more in general for motorsport world, because here in Italy we are all in the same ASN for motorsport, Formula 4, Formula 3, and karting also. And at the moment it's still uncertain, because the government gave us some new thing to follow. The main theme will be the social distancing, And I know that we now allow to be back on track for professional drivers and for driver with the ASN license. So it's at the beginning to go back to track, you have to be a professional driver, but now you only need to have the ASN license, driving license. It's the base to compete in Italy, but also on the rest of the world. And also the operators can go back to track, but they have to maintain the social distancing, about 1 meter and half. And also they need to wear gloves and masks, protective masks. And before joining the track, we have to sign a document in which we state that we're healthy. We don't have obviously any kind of virus or fever and stuff like this. Yeah.
Some of the symptoms.
So we're close to a start for test. That is the main fact. And then also probably at the end of June, we can also restart with the competition. Our problem is that we have a strong national movement, but in Italy, the main part of our business is the international level competitions.
Yes.
So we have to understand when the people can go back to do competition also in Italy from the rest of the Europe. So that's very important to understand when we can restart to do competitions. At the moment, it's still uncertain.
Yeah, so basically there's two things, I think. Not only do you have the borders that prevent people from coming there and all the rules in other countries. I know that we can't freely come and visit you guys a few hours down the road at this stage. But even when you open this up, you have so much of the karting manufacturing. You know, you have tires, you have chassis, you have parts, you have fuel. Nice. All these different things. I know even with racing in Germany that we're involved in as well, it's the same. So how is this going to really, how do you see this is going to affect the next few months?
Well, it's difficult to say because for many months all the karting producers were forced to stay at home, so it was not possible to continue with the production of the chassis or tires or all things linked to kart. At the moment, from May 4, all the offices are reopened, so the production can restart again. So for the next months will be difficult it's difficult now to understand when also for the producers will be restore the normal range, because at the moment it's difficult to suddenly restart. You have, first of all, you have to put all the ambience in you have to create safe area, and you have also to maintain the social distancing also on the ambience, and it's difficult because you have to from a side you have to maintain the industrial program you did at the beginning of the year. From another one, you have to adapt them to this new situation that it's completely new and never seen for us, for all of people involved.
No. What do you think? What's your opinion? What do you think is going to be the outcome of this in 2020?
It's difficult to say because if we will have the possibility to start with the competition from June, we will have a longer season. We will probably close all the competition in the middle of December. But I think that also the promoter started to think if it's the case to reduce the competitions. Obviously, reducing the competition is a loss of money for all. For me, for karting producers, for promoters, also for media, for all people involved. And for me, from my side, that I'm from media, we want to understand if we can go back to track, because obviously if the organizer will decide to reduce the people involved physically involved in the competitions, the first people that suffer of this are media.
That's right.
But we'd like to understand also this position, because we spoke about drivers and teams, but nobody start to think about what we can do and we have to do to come back to world war.
That's right. This is the next question. And of course, we're all in the media, and when someone's going, we're the first ones to go. And of course, you know, this is also going to affect how it's promoted. People have sponsors. The teams rely on this promotion in a lot of cases, as well as the results, to be promoted for future business. But this is only our side. So this is going to be the question. We will catch up again, Andrea, in 2 weeks. And we will see what's happened and if we've made any ground with this, and also what's happening in Italy. And I'm so pleased to see you in person and outside your house. It's really nice.
Thanks.
So please say hi to all the team at Vroom Karting Magazine, and we look forward to talking with you again soon, and stay healthy.
Sure. Thank you, and thank for giving me this possibility to speak about my country. Okay?
Thank you. Mille grazie.
Perfect.
Ciao.
Grazie a te. Ciao, ciao.
We jump over the equator and fly around 8,000 kilometres down to South Africa, where we will meet up with Jan Hartzer from Rapid Motion, just outside of Pretoria. Hello, South Africa. How are you going?
No, things are in South Africa. We're also, like the rest of the world, in lockdown. Our government created 5 different levels of lockdown. Level 5 being a total lockdown. We are now at level 4 after 6 weeks. Level 4, they've opened up sort of 20% of businesses. But as far as motorsport is concerned, we are a long way off being opened up. In South Africa, things are not as dire as it is in Europe or in some other parts of the world. At this moment in time, as of this morning, we had 7,700 infections, and we've only had 148 people die. They've done over 250,000 tests. The infections are basically in the 4 metropoles: Durban, Maritzburg area, and Joburg, Pretoria area, Cape Town, and in the Port Elizabeth area. That's where the bulk of the infections are. The rural areas and the countryside, it's nothing. There are provinces that's got 25 infections in a massive, huge province the size of Switzerland.
But do they still have restrictions in those areas where it's not so difficult?
No. The problem the biggest problem in South Africa that people must always remember, we're a country that's got a bit of a split personality. We very much a first world country for about 40% of the population and people. Then there's that 40% that's in the developed part of the world, and then about 20% that is very third world. So when they make restrictions and make regulations, they have to take the lowest denominators into effect. They can't open up the cities, Johannesburg, which is a first world city like any European city, Durban, Cape Town, we all know Cape Town. It's massive first world cities. But like 10 kilometers from there, you might find a very third world type scenario in terms of townships and stuff like that. So therefore, regulations must fit the entire picture. They will from now on take certain areas into consideration and change up. Like the farming community, they've opened up completely. They can farm as per usual because the people's got to eat. And they need the food, and they need the exports of food, because we're a big country in terms of exporting food to other countries.
Okay. And what about, as you said, karting? Is everything completely at the moment?
Everything completely locked down.
Yeah.
There was some submissions made to the government by soccer, which is a big sport in the South African community. We like to think it's motorsport and rugby, but the mass sport in South Africa is soccer.
Wow.
And soccer has made submissions to play in empty stadiums. If that is successful, it will absolutely open the door for karting or for motorsport to happen, because there's social distancing in motorsport, whether you like it or not. When you put a helmet on and you've got something around you, whether it's a car or a kart, you will always be one. Okay, some karters take it a bit. They swear their social distancing skills are not that good because they make contact and now
and then they overtake each other.
and top on top of each other, and then they stand and have a talk next to the Armco, next to the track, next to the tire barrier. But motorsport are making submissions, and they all, because the government was supposed to today let them know about soccer, and if soccer is allowed, then karting, at least the practicing of karting, that will be allowed. I spoke to we've got basically 4 big areas in South Africa. We've got what we call the Inland Championship, which is up here in Gauteng, Pretoria, Joburg, Vereniging, where all our, about, I would say, 60% of the karters are up here. Then Cape Town and Durban, the Idube circuit, which is the home track for that irritating guy who's won 5 championships, Cristiano Morgado. I think people remember him.
A legend.
That's his home circuit. Yeah, a legend, rock star of Rotax. He circuit in Idube in Durban, which is one of the most fantastic circuits in the world. They feel that they can open for practicing later this month. They are working with the local authorities to get it open for practice. And they are hoping to host an event the 20th of June, which is basically in 5 weeks' time. It could be our first national if all things go well. The one problem with the lockdowns and the levels of lockdown is crossing provincial borders from one province to the other, and of course air travel. For the guys from Cape Town to go to Durban, it's 1,400, 1,500 kilometers. It's a long distance, especially if you've got to drive it. And you've got to get special permits to cross borders and stuff like that. So karting in itself, people are hoping that everybody's suddenly rooting for soccer, although we're not soccer supporters, because once soccer runs onto a field,
that's right.
Trust me, people are going to start up.
They're going to be grabbing those helmets.
Garage.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they're going to start
dragging the cart out.
Hanging out. They're going to start putting stuff in trailers and. And in Cape Town as well, which is the other big Rotax center for South Africa, there as well, they are putting stuff to the provincial provincial government, and they hope to, by middle of May next week, know if they will be allowed to practice, and they hope to, by middle of June, at least have a club race building into a national.
What about the other classes that you have also in South Africa? Are there different series, or they run together, or do you find that it's
rock? No, we have rock and Rotax in South Africa. Rotax rock in some OKJ and stuff is quite big.
Yes.
And it's taken a bit away from Junior Max, but in sheer numbers. Rotax has slightly got the upper hand, and then the other thing is also that there's quite a lot of competitors that cross-pollinate. Guys does Max Torino and Mini Rock, and they do Micro Max and Mini Max. So I would say about 20 to 30% of the people in certain classes cross-pollinate. They do both series, and normally with how they both run 4 national championships. And the national championships determine the winners of those, obviously those that qualify to go to the grand finals. Yes. And so if we start that late, we've lost 2 nationals already. We've lost the Cape Town National, and we've lost the Idube National, which was end of March, end of April, those 2 nationals. The June and July has been put up as dates at this stage to make up. If we can get onto the circuit soon enough. We have also the Africa Open here in South Africa, which is meant to be in July. Previously, we had the African Open and a national on the same weekend. We just extended the weekend. The guys do the national, and then on the Sunday afterwards, everybody's practice for 3 days on the track. On the Sunday, they just do warm-up, qualify, and then they do the Africa Open on a pre-final, final basis. So the guys basically got 4 heats on the day. So that can happen. That can happen to save us 1 month. But the big question, as I was speaking to people preparing for this, was that Rotax should consider moving their date. You know, and I know, the first 4 or 5 years we used to do it in January. We've done it in the first week of December. So I think if it...
And as you said, the travel creates a problem for many countries, as it does for you.
Absolutely.
Which also means you can't realistically run a national event, whichever classes you're running and whichever series it is. This does cause a lot of problems for some countries like yourself. But I suppose we will wait and see. I want to catch up with you again in 2 weeks if you've got the time, and
Absolutely.
I know you're dying to get to the hairdressers, but like everyone else that I'm speaking with is saying, well, it doesn't matter, it'll wait. And but of course, karters don't want to wait. They're into the iRacing, they're doing all this stuff, but in the end, they're waiting for the moment, like you said, that football, soccer, or one of these guys get out onto the field, that they can drag out the go-kart, grab the helmet and race suit and say, we've got to get back on track. A lot of the government regulations, I think this week and next week we will know much more based on what happens, the next step.
Yeah, I think also what happens a lot on our side is the minute stuff happens in European countries or Asian countries, the minute stuff happens there, the guys down here have to react.
Yeah.
They can't tell people, sorry, you can't. I know, but for golf is allowed to now start doing not tournaments, but they're allowed to go golfing as of, I think, this coming weekend. And once again, once those kinds of gates open, it makes it more easy for motorsport and karting and specifically. So we're all hoping that would happen very soon. And also, as it happens in Europe, it helps your cause when you stand in front of a committee at some government department and you say to them, this country is doing it, that country is doing it, that country is doing it. It makes it much easier. As you all know, Africa is still the least affected country in the world. We are everywhere, the lowest numbers.
Yes.
In terms of deaths, we're not anywhere near. And, lots of people say, yeah, but Africa is not as populated. Seriously. It's got like 1.8 billion people.
Yes.
Nigeria is like the fourth or the fifth biggest populated country in the world. So is Egypt. And the numbers are low. So
this is really good news.
Soon, So
really
I think
good
soon
news.
we are hoping that come first week in June, we'll be down to level 3, and then we can definitely have activity.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to it in any case. But for now, you need to stay healthy and safe. Keep writing that book, I know, or books. We can look forward to reading all about some of these great stories. But Jan, I know it's a tough one, and hopefully nothing progresses in the wrong direction from here. As you say, many people in Africa and in your region, everyone at the moment is being sensible. So this is the main thing. But it's really nice to talk to you.
I don't know so much about the sensible. If the pictures you see, lots of people are not being sensible, and that's the scary part. Because if if the bushfire starts, I don't think they'll be able to contain it. And that's a problem when you're dealing with developed parts of the country and the third world part of the countries. In some of those townships and stuff, if a veld fire starts going there, the bushfire, it's going to be like Australia in December. They will not be able to stop it, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for your time, and great to have you here with us. And just a hop, skip and a jump across the Indian Ocean to my home country, the land down under. From Kart Sport News, we have a yarn with Mark Wicks. He's located just outside Melbourne in Victoria. G'day, Australia.
Yeah, I am. I'm here.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, not bad. I've been luckily I've got a bit of work happening, and I've just been doing some night school training sessions over Zoom. So it's what is it, 9 o'clock here in Melbourne, near Melbourne. Yep.
Okay, so you're working late there. And what's happening there, I guess, in Australia? That's my next question. You're at home working?
Well, I am at home working. There's a lot of people working from home at the moment. Australia's a bit of a weird one as far as all of this is concerned, because we've got federal government making regulations, and then each state is doing their own thing as well. So it's a bit confusing for people to understand what they can and can't do. But where I am in Victoria, we're sort of in a lockdown, but we we can still go out and we can grocery shop, we can go to medical things. Those people who can't work from home or do schooling from home can still go to work and go to school. So it's not such a big issue for a lot of people. And compared to how it's been overseas, it's relatively calm here, I think.
Yeah, I know, obviously talking this morning to some of my other media friends down there, messaging saying, how's it going, you know, over in Europe and in Austria? But it seems quite calm. I noticed that you guys are starting really in karting to get back on track, that it is possible. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what's happening as well there with the karting status.
Yeah, for karting, it all sort of gradually shut down from the Australian Grand Prix when that got cancelled. It sort of hit the fan here as far as everything else happening, and we had a Rotax Pro Tour opening round scheduled for the weekend after the Grand Prix. And that had to be postponed, and then just everything collapsed from there. So by the end of March, all of the circuits had closed down. Karting Australia pulled all of the race permits, and the government also prevented anybody from going out to non-essential things. So the sport effectively closed down. We are in a stage now where some tracks in some states are starting to get a few things happening. But we've got different rules in different states. So you can be in one state where you can't have groups of people together other than sort of meeting one person, but you can walk over the border and have 10 people together.
Mm-hmm.
So
my goodness.
there's a couple of clubs, so it's a bit weird. But so a few clubs are now doing some very minimal amount of getting a few karters into the venue at once and just doing some social practice karting. As opposed to race meetings. We can't do any race meetings at the moment.
Happen now.
Completely lost audio.
Mm.
Oh, okay, that's come back. Sorry to stop there.
And what do you see is going to happen now? Is there any sort of indication what's going to be the next phase of this to open up, or how close you are to the races?
Yeah, Karting Australia, which is sort of one of the main governing bodies of the sport in Australia, they've put out a 5-stage plan of how they're wanting to, or their proposal of getting back to full-on racing again. Mm-hmm. And we're sort of in the first stage of that, which is just getting things opening up to social karting. And the thing is, though, as I said, it's different from one state to another. So there's a couple of states where they are getting this up and running. There was go-karts on the track last weekend in South Australia, and I think in Queensland, but in Victoria where I am, the tracks are still closed, other than people going to the track to do mowing lawns, 2 people at a time, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The Karting Australia have got their second stage is to expand the social karting, which they're hoping to do in June if the government allows.
Okay.
And then opening up in July club level, so only people in the local area can go to their local track. You can't go to tracks that are outside your local area.
Okay.
And they're hoping by August to open up so that we can do state level karting. And then by September, they'd like to be able to go and do interstate events and get the national championships going again.
That's right, because you've got the borders. Yeah, you've got the borders there. And I know, I believe Queensland is still operating under a closed border. Has that any news on if that's opening or?
Yeah, Queensland, they had, I believe, and I might be wrong here, but I believe they had restrictions on travel. You couldn't go anywhere within a certain number of kilometres of your house, and that's been relaxed a little bit so that people can go 50 kilometres from their principal place of residence. But yeah, that's the thing. We've got state boundaries a little bit like Europe has country boundaries, I guess.
Yeah, it's about the same size too, isn't it, really? Like if we put Australia over Europe, if people can imagine, it is like we could cross over, I don't know, 4 or 5 countries in that time that you go from one state to another and to another. But of course, I suppose the question is international racing doesn't happen so much anymore in Australia, but the national series covers so much of the country. And as you said, that's not going to be till September. So are they going to be able to fit everything in? Although the weather's quite good.
Well, the weather should be improving a little bit by then. But yeah, we've got two major national series that travel around the country typically, and that's the Australian Kart Championship and the Rotax Pro Tour.
Yeah.
And those two events get people from all over the country travelling everywhere. So until the travel restrictions are lifted, nothing of those are going to happen. And I see there's two issues when the sport gets back up and running. One of them is there's going to be people that don't have the money to attend the events anyway. There's a lot of people out of work at the moment. A lot of businesses have been forced into close down. So there's that issue of people being able to go racing. And secondly, there's not going to be enough time in the calendar to get all of the originally planned events, because if national racing does open up in September, and that's a best case scenario, it's just going to be such a busy calendar, because it's not just go-karting that's going to be going, it's going to be all of these other activities in society are all going to be hitting the go button at the same time. So I think abbreviated versions of these events is going to be the only way to manage. Maybe even a one-off event for each is a possibility.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we'll have to wait to see what happens. And of course, thinking about that, there's study, there's school and all those things that go in there as well. As you say, other events, everyone will be cramming all their weddings and everything also into those months in spring.
Yeah,
but
right.
I think it's going to be interesting. And as you say, can people afford it? This will be the next thing, what they can afford to do. But maybe Mark will actually catch up with you again there outside of Melbourne in 2 weeks and just see how things are going. And it's been great having you on here. I want you all to stay safe and good luck with your training. I know you've got those people there on Zoom that are just trying to work out, all the grandparents and parents, how do we use it so we can talk to our kids and
That's right.
make sure everyone's good and keep in touch with the grandkids. So, but it's been really nice to see you again. And of course, I know you're a former world #1 in a certain class many years ago in Egypt. So I don't forget that. I was there.
The beard's gone grey.
Okay. All right. Well, stay safe. And it's been great, obviously, to speak with you. And we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks.
Likewise, Jen. Not a problem. Cheers.
Okay. See you. As I continue my voyage, I set sail, course north, to the land of the rising sun. Konnichiwa, Mr. Matsudo from EIKO Motorsport. Hello, Japan.
Hi.
Hi.
Good. Thank you.
That's good. Welcome to the studio. It's great to have you. I know today's a public holiday. It's Golden Week in Japan, so we're very lucky to have you guys with us all the way from Japan. So, but what I wanted to do, first of all, is ask you, how are you going? What's happening there? Matsudo-san.
Yes.
Genki desu?
Yes. Genki desu yo. I'm fine.
Yeah. You're fine. And Kevin, what's happening there in Japan?
Well, in Japan, of course, with the COVID situation, we are all more or less stuck. Things are going very slow, and there is no racing so far. Nothing is changing. The cases keeps rising. That's how it is in Japan for the moment.
Okay, and Matsudo, I know there at EIKO Motorsport, you guys have been also doing a great thing for the community and bringing in some masks and different things for
Yes.
the people. Maybe you can just tell me a little bit about what you've done.
What have you done with the mask? Yeah, because now few weeks before, some our Rotax customer want to buy some mask, but I have many Chinese friends from Shanghai. Asking them they can help me. Each week they send in about 1,000. How many? 30, 40, 50,000. 30, 40, 50,000 pieces of mask.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody very happy.
Yeah, very happy. And of course, I know that you're also a circuit owner. You are running a business. You work with different engine brands, different chassis brands, many products. You're, one of the people there that's also a karter yourself many years ago. How is it now, considering, in karting, what's the status, considering you've now been hit by this? I know there was one race in March, but really just give us an idea on what's happening today and how this affects all the businesses like you, all the circuits and everyone out there in Japan.
Yes. Now, our, we have a go-kart track Mizunami. Yeah, but we organize only first round in Mizunami.
Yes.
After this problem, COVID problem, many people, many go-kart tracks stop the race, and also Rotax series, Yamaha series, every track is stopped, no more race. But yes, our business is about sales 50% down. This is
Oh my goodness.
yeah, this is a problem.
Yeah, big problem.
Yeah, but we are okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell me, sorry?
Yeah, and our go-kart track Mizunami is still open. Yeah.
Okay.
Not closed. Still open.
Still open.
Yeah. Every day, a few drivers coming, going back.
And what kind of things do you have to make sure they do to be safe? What do you tell them? Are there any special rules or?
Yeah, you remember our clubhouse?
Yes.
Clubhouse is inside clubhouse, no table, no chair, people don't stay here.
Yeah.
And entrance and exit door has how to say alcohol.
Ah, yeah, in the spray bottle. Yeah.
People must clean. How to say this?
Hands.
Spray on their hands and must use the face mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin, maybe you can. I was going to say maybe you can tell us a little bit about how this is working.
What happened on the race in March is that we had some students, they really wanted to see a race, they really wanted to join, to be part of. So we gave them alcohol bottles, the sanitizers. So each person entering the clubhouse, they have to get their hands sprayed. That is some of the measures that we have. Also, no table, no chair in the clubhouse to avoid people mingling together. And also very important is, especially the toilet, it has to be sanitized all the time. You really have to show that you are really committed to the safety of everyone. And also you need to constantly remind everyone to wash their hands every 15, 20 minutes. I know it's very repetitive, but once they know this, they will apply that method, and we can avoid COVID with this process.
You can actually give them that message over the speakers with the commentators, just to remind them, and I guess signs or things like this around the track.
Constantly we remind them to just repetition. Keep repeating. If you plan to organize something like this, you must implement all those measures.
And with the next race coming up, obviously May 17, that you mentioned.
There should be a race in May 17th, and we are also planning to organize a few more races in June, because apparently some tracks they have canceled all their races.
Wow. What about the other series? Are they also still running, or?
No, Suzuka canceled. Motegi canceled as well. So we are more independent track owners. We try to organize something at
So
least.
all Japan Championship is also not running?
Cancelled.
Okay.
Yeah, it's final. Yeah.
Well, just tell me, what was the reaction when you ran the race in March? Did you get any kind of flack from other tracks or?
Mixed feelings. We had some mixed feelings. Some people weren't very happy about that. Others, they were really, really thankful to Mr. Matsudo because he still managed to pull a race in these conditions. So
Okay.
difficult to.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I know, as you said, 50 people down in the business, but maybe we can talk again, perhaps in a couple of weeks, because I'm interested to see how the race meeting goes. And of course, I've been to Mizunami. I know the situation. As you said, it's difficult, but we have to manage this. And it's been really nice to talk to you. Enjoy the Golden Week, and domo arigato, Matsuda-san.
Thank you, Jenny-san.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
Bye.
Great talking to you. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Back to the land of good taste, where apple strudel and schnitzel are served, and the Philharmonic Orchestra play Mozart, where snow-capped Alps reach the sky and the Rotax engines are born. We hope you enjoyed our trip around the world. Please share it with your friends and click subscribe, because if you like this, we should do it more often. Ciao.